So we have a couple of contracts to put satellites in specific orbits around Kerbal. We've got the first one for a polar orbit, and the second one for an equatorial orbit. I think we're going to go for the equatorial orbit first. Should be easier, and it'll give us a chance to test out this new design, which is pretty simple. Just 4 LVT 45s and a 909 on what is essentially 3 stages. You've got a lifting stage, an orbital insertion stage, and then the probe itself, which you may notice is facing backwards, but that's okay. When we deploy it, we'll just turn it around and face the right direction. And there isn't really a whole lot on there. We've got a press map barometer and temperature gauge, and that's it. Oh, and MechJeb. I went to the trouble of installing MechJeb. Anyway, let's see what we got. I'm going to be using MechJeb later on to take some of those rescue missions. Not sure exactly when I'm going to be doing that, but I like MechJeb, so let's... Oh, and this particular version of MechJeb comes with everything, so let's do the ascent guidance. I already know we got plenty of Delta V. And what does our contract say we need for the equatorial orbit? 11 million. So 11,529 meters. Max Q, acceleration, throttle. Corrective steering, we do not, I don't like doing auto stage. I do like doing auto warp though. We're going to park that over here, engage the autopilot, which you'll notice isn't doing anything yet. Doesn't do anything until we launch. And oh my gravy. MechJeb is so confused, I think. Yeah, MechJeb is confused. So let's revert that to the launch. And it's confused because I built the probe and then I turned it upside down to stay in the fairing. So I guess we're not going to be using, and you'll see, it looks like we're facing down. Let's see, can I control it from somewhere else? No. No, I can't. So everything's going to be backwards. That's alright, I think. I think I can still make it work. Alright, well, here we go. And as long, nope, that's, so it wasn't MechJeb. Let's see what I did wrong. Or how many things I did wrong. So, okay, first we don't need that much Delta V to get into space. Let's just do straight staging and see what we can get with that. You know, that might just be enough to do it right there. And then take out this tiny little reaction wheel. That might do it. Let's go with that and see what happens. It was very much a trial and error process. I really didn't like the way I had to build the fairing, but to get the separator underneath there, I had to stick the fairing out just a little bit. Okay, that's a lawn dart, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I can't have the probe upside down, at least not the probe body. So we'll take those batteries off. Let's see if I can get in there and take the fuel tank off. Yeah, we'll take the fuel tank off. We'll flip the probe body right side up. Well, looks like we're gonna have to. That's okay. I got the separator in there. Gotta take the fairing off for a minute. Get that Communitron back in there. There we go. Let's try that way. Now everything's pointing in the right direction. Maybe we need to add some fins. Add some winglets. Oh, and take off that. There we go. Now it looks kind of like a rocket. Let's see if that does the trick. And the first time I'm gonna mech jeb it. Hopefully that'll work. Don't have nearly the thrust to weight ratio that I'd like. I mean, so thrust to weight ratio tells you whether or not your engine can move your vehicle at a reasonable speed. But for any given body, there's another number that you need to worry about, and that's surface lift thrust, or at least I'm assuming that that's what that stands for. And if your SLT is not over 1.0, even if your thrust to weight ratio is over 1.0, if your SLT is not over 1.0, you can go ahead and fire up that engine to full blast, and you'll never get off the launch pad or off the surface, depending on where you are, where you're landed. And I think that SLT takes into account the gravity of the body that you're being affected by as well. So obviously, if you've got to overcome 9.8 meters per second of downward pull, that's going to take a little bit more energy than just overcoming the mass of the vessel to make a change. And there's mech jeb kicking in a little early, I hope, limiting our angle of attack. And you can see whenever mech jeb is actively using one of its restrictions, those restrictions are highlighted in green, like our limit AOA is here. And even if you don't have the particular panel open, if you show the mech jeb menu, you can see right there, ascent guidance is in green. That means it's actively using a component from that particular mech jeb module to control your craft. So I don't have to leave this window open. I like to in case I need to turn off the autopilot for some reason, but I don't need to. Because if everything goes smoothly, I shouldn't need to turn off the autopilot. But hey, this is Kerbal Space Program. When does anything ever go smoothly? Look right now, you can see that those winglets are really pushing against the flow of gravity. Or no, they're not. They were. At least they looked like they were. Maybe it's just my imagination. And our lift stage is done, so we ditch that. Now this is supposed to be the orbital stage, but apparently our lift stage did not have enough thrust. This little guy is not performing at his best. He's still kicking it in 343 seconds of specific impulse. That's pretty good. So I guess he's doing good enough. We're getting 3,500 meters of delta V out of him, so I shouldn't complain. And there's the apoapsis. let's see if we can see. Now, where is the equatorial orbit? 11 million. That should be. Is that right at the moon? That is right at the moon. So we have to be really careful not to intersect, not to have a moon encounter for a change. Our orbital speed is getting up there, but our altitude is suffering. We need to go up a lot. I think Mekjeb might have started our orbital burn too early, or this engine just doesn't have enough thrust to keep us up there in the air. Or maybe I put in the altitude wrong. Doesn't look like I put in the altitude wrong. So disengage the autopilot. Again, it's going straight up here. The fairing is getting pretty hot. So we can go from an apoapsis perspective, we can go straight for the moon. We don't need to do the gravity turn. We just need to get far enough away. Can we anyway? Of course we can. Now that we're out of the atmosphere, we can do all sorts of turning, burning stuff. Just hope that we have enough fuel where we don't have to start using the satellite stage, the final burn stage, to make orbital corrections. That actually doesn't look very good. We really don't want a moon encounter, and it looks like we're going to have one. So now we got to slow down. We only got to slow down a hair. We still got to slow down, which is a waste of fuel. All right, that will take us out to our apoapsis, which shouldn't be a moon encounter. But once we hit that apoapsis, we can start adjusting periapsis. Since we also have a very specific periapsis.